Santa Clarita's hometown station, KHTS, is the hometown morning show with Tori and Kyle. Make sure you go to hometownstation.com for all the latest and greatest Santa Clarita has to offer. Speaking of the greatest,
Woo!
Santa Clarita has to offer, he is Richard Sherman from Alta Realty Group, and he joins us now. Richard, how are you?
How are you guys?
Well, we are doing well. We are doing well. I'm just, I want to compliment you again. I was doing it off air, but I want to do it on air. I want to acknowledge you in front of the community
Yes.
as to your beautiful blue shirt and mask, matching ensemble.
Thank you. That was actually an utter and complete accident. But yeah,
dude, you never say that. You say I meant to do it. I thought about this all last night. I wanted to look great on my Facebook video for KHTS.
Yeah, what you said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Richard, how are you? And what are we talking about today?
I'm doing very well. I want to talk to you. I wanted to come in today and talk to everybody about sort of something that's pending that doesn't seem to have made the news really big yet.
Uh-oh.
The consumer. It's not necessarily it could be a good thing. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the oddly named CFPB, who is in charge of these sort of things, has put forward a suggestion. It's a pretty good one, I think, to pause all foreclosures until really January of 2022, which would force all the banks and give them time to come up with guidelines and all that good stuff, because really none of that is really being tended to properly at this point. It's kind of catch can. The pandemic's been going on for 14 months, and yet as far as the mortgage business is concerned, there are forbearances that you can get, but as to what happens after those forbearances, it's kind of all over the place. So they're meeting they've decided that, and then of course, typical of a government agency, they have a very good idea, it's very pro-public, it should work very nicely, and then all of a sudden we get into the comment period and they start to add things. And so the idea was a foreclosure moratorium, a complete moratorium, until January of 2022. But then what happened is, right at the last minute, just before they finished this up and it went out to be decided upon, there were two very important amendments that were added. And I'll let you see if you can guess where these amendments came from. I'll just tell you what they are, and you tell me if you can guess what industry presented them.
Dear.
The first amendment is if we at the bank, right? It's the bank talking, decide that we can't do better than what you've already got, then we don't have to do anything, and we can foreclose on you right now. And the other one is you have to show a hardship that is somehow directly related to the pandemic, which is another way of saying we can deny it under anything. You could say, I lost my job because I worked here and we had to close the restaurant or whatever it is.
Right.
And they have the ability now to say, well, that's not pandemic related, that's restaurant related.
But it's restaurant related, but the restaurant was pandemic related.
Oh, you don't have to convince me.
Oh.
This wasn't my idea.
I'm
just saying what happened when this happens all the time. The government puts forward an idea, and it's usually well-meaning, and it's a good idea usually. And then by the time it actually filters down, lobbyists from the industry that the idea is going to affect have say and sway, and then all of a sudden you get these ridiculous loopholes. So the idea is pause all foreclosures for the rest of the year. And give everybody a chance to get caught up, give the banks a chance to put decent processes in place, et cetera, to deal with this flood that is coming. There are over 3 million houses right now that are in forbearance.
Wait, when you say that number, are you just talking in Los Angeles? What are you looking at?
According to the CFPB, that's a national number.
Oh,
but
a national number,
I poo-poo that a lot because I think there's more than that in LA County.
Okay.
My take on the situation is that is a drastically underreported number. I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers I have in my own office that are people in forbearance, and it doesn't bear that out, the little area I cover versus that, unless I happen to be, unless we here in Santa Clarita happen to be the forbearance capital of the United States, which I strongly doubt. Those numbers make no sense. I think it's about 10 times that. But the point is, here's an idea that would help dig all that out, but before the government can actually enact that idea, everybody else gets involved, and now you have these loopholes you could drive a truck through.
Right.
So basically, banks cannot really, at this point, the idea was to compel the banks to do this as a public good. And now what's happened is it's been watered down to the point, or it's on its way to being watered down to the point, where it'll be these massive loopholes, just like everything else they do. So the point here is, if you have a house that you have not been paying on, if you're in a forbearance and you're looking for a plan from your bank, please give us a call. Because a lot of this stuff kind of doesn't make its way into the public sphere. The bank isn't going to tell you about it because it's not a rule yet. And unless you have the time and the energy to go digging for this stuff, if you really enjoy this as a hobby, you're probably not going to know a lot of this stuff because it's changing on every day. So if you're in a situation where you're in a forbearance, please give us a call. Even if it's just information, we don't have to take your file. You don't owe us anything. We do this for free. Even if it's just to call and say, hey, what were you talking about on the radio? What was that thing the CFPB is doing? I'll be more than happy to fill you in on it, or point you to the right place. You can do your own research if you'd like.
Why do they keep changing the goalpost?
Because they're looking for a bailout. It is my contention that the banks, because every time the banks have had a problem over the last, really our lifetimes, with the exception of the SNLs, even that got sorted out by the government, they show up with their hand out. And because the banking system is as large and is as necessary to our daily lives as it is, the government bails them out. And I understand that. But there comes a point at which, if you continue to ask for handout after handout after handout, you are no longer a business. You are a government entity. And if that's what it is, then let's call it that and cut down the profits and make it better for the public. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a realistic way to go. But my point is just there comes a point at which you have to stop giving these handouts to these banks where they have to be managed a lot better. The banks are clearly, in my view, setting themselves up for another bailout, just like they got the last time around with the financial crisis. And they're going to scream COVID. It'll happen probably in the next, I would guess, 60 days you're going to start hearing about it, because that's when the forbearances are all going to start to run out. So June and July are most of them. Some of them are out now, some are June and July. That's where the majority of them hit. And so the banks are going to line up for a bailout, and it's going to be ridiculous, and they're going to get it because we can't not have a banking system, so they're going to get something. But rather than getting proactive and heading this off, which the CFPB is trying to do, the banks would rather have it be Armageddon so that they can get a bailout, which I promise you they're going to ask for. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to. I mean, the numbers are stratospheric. Again, it's like the CFPB saying that there are 3 million people in forbearance. I think any single of the large banks has more than that in any state, let alone as a national number. I don't believe that number is a national number at all. I mean, far be it for me to quibble with them and how they get their data, but I think it's got to be a lot higher than that.
Richard Sherman from Alta Realty, the Superman, I like to call him. But no, I'm not kidding around, because and we tease about you wearing a cape, but honestly, I wouldn't know half of the things that you talk about because it's just not it's not common knowledge. It's not common knowledge, and
shouldn't have to be.
Like I said, they keep changing the goalposts. So we need someone like you.
It's my job.
I need a phone number. I need a website. Go.
Can I give you one quick, local thing? We're doing a garage sale for a client, 27572 Saffron Lane, from 8 to 2 Saturday. It's an estate sale, so there's framed art, furniture, kitchen and bar stuff, all sorts of stuff, and the family's even setting up a snack bar. I promised them I would do this today. So if you'd like to come by, please do. I know it's a super locally thing. I like it. Saffron Lane in Saugus from 8 to 2 on Saturday. My information. My name is Rich Sherman. I'm with Alta Realty. My name is spelled funny. The last name is Szerman. I'm extremely easy to find. My cell phone number, and it is my personal cell phone number, is 661-714-1400. You can call me at that number 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I like my job. I like answering my phone. Call me or text me, 661-714-1400. I will also be happy to answer garage sale questions. Call me at that number anytime. And again, my name is Rich Sherman, and I'm with Alta Realty.
Fantastic. Thanks,
Thank
Rich.
you.
Always a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Always a pleasure.
Always good to see you guys.